Hello, welcome to another episode of Mr. Elko in the Math Tub. Today we're going to very briefly go over how to find the value of an unknown angle in a right triangle, looking at using our trigonometric ratios. Now, just a quick reminder of what they are. The quick little acronym that you can remember for these is SOH, CA, TOA. Now, this represents sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan is opposite over adjacent. So looking at our first example here, I have my unknown angle here listed as x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first off find which of these ratios I can use based on the length of the triangle that I know. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to look all the way across here, and I can see I have my opposite side. So right away I know I can either use sine or tangent because cosine does not have any opposite, and I need to have both values in order to do my ratio. Then I can look over here and say, okay, I also have my hypotenuse because it's opposite my 90-degree angle. And this, in turn, would be my adjacent, which I don't know. So because I have my opposite and I have hypotenuse, for this example, I'll be using sine. So I'm going to fill it in, and the first thing I'm going to do is write sine of x equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now really quickly, I'm just going to fill in those values that I know. So sine x, hypotenuse is 8, divided by, opposite is 8, hypotenuse is 10, and I'm going to divide it out as sine x equals 0.8. Now here, this is where we're not finished. So right now we only know the ratio, right? So the sine of x equals 0.8 as a ratio. So how do we go from ratio back to degrees? And this is where a calculator is going to come in handy for us. And if you have a smart scientific calculator, you're going to see a button that says second. If you don't, and you're using a computer or some of your phone, you might see something that looks like this, INV, which represents inverse. So you're going to go onto your calculator. Now, if we did it the long way, what you basically would do, switch colors here so you can see, is you're going to divide. Just like in algebra, you need to get your variable alone. So you're going to divide by sine here and sine here. As a result, those signs are going to cancel out, and it's going to leave you with x equals 0.8 divided by sine. Now, we don't write it that way. We have a more common way to write it is we make it the inverse of sine, which is we take this sine and we're going to basically flip it so it's on top. But we're going to label it with a -1, which represents the inverse of sine. And then we're going to bracket, and we put in whatever our value is. So now we're going to take our calculator for this part, and now we're going to plug it in. So we're going to put sine of -1, 0.8, and when we calculate it out, we're going to end up with 53.13, and then a whole bunch of other numbers. I'm going to stop here and just use this as my value. Right? So I now know that it's 53.13 degrees. Now that's great that I'm being a little more accurate. If we want, depending on what your question is asking, you might be able to get rid of the decimal values and just go with 53 degrees. Right? All depends on that. Now once you know this, you can also find this angle as a result. Because we know that 90 and 53, and whatever this angle is, has to equal 180 degrees. All right? So that's a quick little overview of how to do it. Now the same question here, I can use any of the signs, but I'm going to stop the video here and see if you want to solve it on your own as a quick recap. So if you want to, pause here, and I'm going to quickly go over here in a second. All right, so for this question, all I'm going to do is I'm going to select tan. I haven't used tan in a while, so I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to look at opposite over adjacent. So the tan of x equals 4 over 3. So the tan of x equals 1.3 repeated. Need to get rid of this tan. So x is by itself, which means I'm doing the inverse. So tan -1 is 1.3 bracket. And I don't have my calculator on me, but I'm going to leave it at that for you to solve. Right? So and the same process would happen if I choose any other ones, but it would just depend on which measurements of the triangle I'm using. So I hope this helps. I'll see you next time on Mr. Elko in the Math Tub. Take care.